I'll jump in on that. We hear these leaders talking about people doing the Pacesetter bonus the very first day, and there's nobody did it in the very first day, because it took 2 weeks or 3 weeks pre-build into that very first day. And that's where we are again. We've wound the clock back to the point where you are equal to those that have already achieved. And I suppose that the best way, I probably, it's on the flip chart, if I could illustrate that to you guys sitting there waiting. This is not the time to wait. This is not the time to even sleep. You have to impact what you do in the next 2 weeks, or if it's 3 or 4, what you do now in these 2 weeks will dictate your check in 2021. So I'm disappointed in myself, in what I put into this, because I didn't hit the leadership Pacesetter. I hit the first one on the first day, yes, but it took me more than a day's work to achieve that. And that puts you into that same position. And if we look at it mathematically, we took in, let's say, somewhere in the region of $20 million. $20 million in the first 24 hours, give or take. And it's $50 million over 4 days. But in the first day, and we're going to have another first day come up very soon. And I was delighted yesterday morning when I heard we've got 2 weeks before this launches. I went, yes, the people have a chance. The people have a chance to build for this, because there is 2 great pools. There is the gold leadership pool, and there's the leadership pool itself in the Pacesetter. These 2 pools have 1.8% equal contribution. And it's up to you to decide, what can I do between now and soft launch? How can I get into these pools? When you divide 1.8% of $20 million, that works out at $360,000. $360,000 was sitting in these 2 pools. And you decide, am I getting into this one, or am I getting into this one? And we know that hindsight's a wonderful thing, but we have hindsight now. We've seen the results. We know that in the first day, approximately 80 people got into this pool. Those 80 people divided 1.8% of the total global revenue. That is $4,500. 80 people made $4,500 day one, and you have that same opportunity. But what if you realize there's only about 6 people qualified for this one, and 6 into that give these guys approximately $60,000. 6 into 360 is $60,000 in 1 day. There's people in this industry that won't make $60,000 in a year, but to do that in 1 day, you can create that in the next 14 days. In the next 2 weeks, you can put this mechanism in place for you and your family, because this business is built on stories. And we need to know, what is your story? What is your story? Your story is, I started and I stopped and I waited, or I started and I continued and I started again when this launched. And that's what you need to think about. You see, how do you get into this Pacesetter? It's very simple. It's a little box that says 24 and $128,000 in contribution. You need to get 24 directs and $128,000 in contribution. And you might think that's difficult. That is not difficult. That is easy. How do I know it's easy? Because 80 people did it. 80 people did it. Now, that was in the first day. Of course, there are more Pacesetters than that today. But based on that, I want you to think about, there was another 30 million came in on top of that. There was another 30 million came on top of the 20 million people. So what do you think these people made in the first week? And that's why the stories are realistic. Somebody made $100,000 in the first few days. Absolutely. These guys only found 3 people. 3 people to do that. That puts you into the leadership pacemaker. And now you've got yourself a business. What you need to do is you need to be talking to people every minute of every day. You need to absorb every ounce of energy you have building for our new soft launch, and decide which of these 2 pools you're getting into. And it goes back to the other thing. How can I find 24 people with $128,000? Well, if you think about, when I heard about this, I said, why is Jeremy teaming up with Abu? Why is Kevin teaming up with John? Why are these people coming together? Because they wanted to get into the 10 tiers. And the 10 tiers is $102,300. Now, the average man or woman on the planet doesn't have that class of money. Okay, if you're successful in the industry, some people can afford that. But that's why maybe 2 people get together and form a double syndicate. But what about 4 people doing 25K and creating a syndicate to get into the 10 tiers? Or 10 people. I mean, I have a firm of taxi drivers. There's 20 taxi drivers putting in 5K each to make a syndicate to create tier 10. And that puts them in the business. Then the 20 taxi drivers go front line. And now they've got 20 out of 24 towards that contribution. And they take a personal position then to build out Pacesetters. So there are ways you can achieve it. And the most successful thing about this whole project has been said so many times by each of these leaders. It's not just Jeremy who is amazing. It's Endotech, it's the product. You see, no matter how amazing Jeremy is, and no matter how good smart contract is, and how matter good the compensation plan is, it comes down to the product. And that product is what we get for our contribution. We get equity in the company, and we get trading rewards. And you've heard from her mouth herself what she said. She's expecting 300 to 400%. You saw it in Adam Rubin's post recently that he's expecting 300 to 400%. Well, with this 102K, that would put approximately $70,000 into the contribution into the trading side, into the trading fund. If you get 100%, you've got $140,000. If they achieve 200%, you've got $280,000. If you achieve 300%, you've got $560,000 passive trading rewards. And that's why it's important that you go ahead and do your darnest, do your best, beg, borrow, steal, create that tier 10 for you and your family, or for your little syndicate. Get tiered up and get Pacesettered up, and you have 2 weeks to do it. I'm blessed that we were given these extra 2 weeks. I wish we get a month, Jeremy, because I'll bring in 30 Pacesetters.